So in a moment, we are going to engage in this beloved Nefesh tradition of choosing a midah to focus on for the year. I love reading what people write on their bios about themselves and about communities, because I find that so difficult, right? How do you essentialize into words who you are or what a community is? And one of the things that we've been able to articulate about Nefesh that does feel very right on where we want to be is that Nefesh is a midot-driven community. The midot are our deepest values, and they are, for us, what we look at for everything. When we want to design a service, when we want to make teaching for the kids in our program, when we want to do everything. Hi, Dad and brother. I see you right in front of me. That's very nice to see you. It's my dad and my brother standing right there. It is part of everything that we do. And on Rosh Hashanah, this is what our tradition asks us to do. It's malchut. We change prayers to say this melech idea, sovereign or king. And I know sometimes king is hard for us as moderns, right? We don't want a king. We definitely don't want an authoritarian leader of any kind or a dictator. But it came from different times in which what there was a king. And we didn't have a king, and it was a sort of protest statement. You're not our king, was basically the idea. We have something deeper. We have the source of all being. We have the sovereignty of our deepest values, which will be with us, friends, after the election. Our values will be here with us. And so it's really important for us to get clear on what those values are. What is important for us to center on. And this year, I chose the theme of tectonic shifts, which we're going to get into a lot on Yom Kippur. Tectonic shifts because it has felt all year that literally the landscapes have been changing all around us. And they have. The ground is moving because, as it turns out, the ground is always moving. And in times where it feels like the ground is moving so fast, that is when what we can do is move into our deepest values. I had an experience once. I experienced the ground moving a lot, but I had an experience once, not that far from here on Sunset Boulevard in East Hollywood. At the Kaiser building. Some of you may frequent those buildings. I went into that building one day, into a small room, and had a doctor have things came out of his mouth. It was hard to hear and understand because all of a sudden the ground was moving. And in fact, it cracked open and I fell through. And I was tumbling in a kind of free fall at the words of this diagnosis, which I couldn't make sense of at the time for the strange symptoms that I had been having. And I was tumbling, and as the ground split, and I was falling, and underneath that yellow tile of that building into the earth, there was roots that I could see that were there, roots of the trees that weren't visible on the surface, roots that began to wrap around my body as I was falling. And I realized that the teachings that I had held so dear, that I had taught and explained and shared about, these ancient teachings about what is most fundamental to who we are, about our deepest values, loving kindness, compassion, humility, patience, justice, faith. Those were the roots under the ground that were wrapping around my body, and I noticed that I also had to reach. And I reached to hold on to them, and as I held, they wrapped more, and I realized that as I held on to them, they were holding me. They were holding me as I held them. These ancient teachings of our peoples, in fact, the ancient teachings of all peoples all over the world are these deepest values. The midot are how we talk about them, but everywhere people talk about compassion and kindness, and love and mercy and forgiveness and faith. That's what you hear. I've had the deep honor of being with people at their gravesides, and let me tell you, they don't talk about, not their gravesides, but also before they die, and they don't talk about, I wish I bought the blue dress instead of the green one. That is not what is filling us in these moments when we're passing from this world to the next. What we're filled with is the love, and oftentimes so much gratitude. Yes, also fear, too, can be in that space, but most often the presence to notice the things that are most important. So we do this at Rosh Hashanah, at this heightened day of the year, because it is this threshold between what we've been in and where we can go. And what is the best way to cross that threshold? But it is to ground ourselves in our most important values. It is exactly what Shanti shared this morning so movingly. Choosing courage, choosing Ometz Lev, and then practicing it. The practice of the midot, the practice of what we're doing here at Nefesh, is not to think about our values. I mean, it's nice to think about our values. That's a nice thing to do. But it is really to practice our values, because we are what we practice. We are what we practice and do every day. So the question is, what are you practicing? So with this midot, we learn about them. We learn from our wisdom traditions. We learn what is a particular Jewish view on each of these qualities. We also can learn from the greater world around us, from biology and from neuroscience and all of the things. We learn, we come to awareness about how they operate in our lives by talking to others, by being in small groups, by having a buddy, a chavruta, by journaling, and then we practice. We practice and we practice, daily practice, weekly practices, every day, every week, until it becomes part of us, embodied in us. We repeat, repeat, repeat. When folks come to sit in with me and they say, Rabbi, I'd like to be more spiritual. Great. I'm so glad. It's like anything. I'd like to be better at this or do this more. Let's choose a practice together and then do it every day. It is not, I was going to say it's not mysterious, but there's always mystery. Anyway, it's not far from you. It is what we do together is practice our values. If we want more kindness in our lives, we practice kindness. If we want more compassionate toward people we agree with, and especially towards those we don't, we practice compassion. That is what we are doing. We have spent the last year in deep conversation together about some of our profound differences of experience and perspective around Israel-Palestine. We've done this before around racism. Nefesh is a place where we can have difficult conversations. And I think in your books you got those 4 midot that we have been holding. Humility, compassion, courage, and curiosity. And we choose those on purpose because that is what we feel helps us to be honest, to dialogue, and to listen to each other. So people have said, what is one? Give me an example of one midah that I could look at. Well, that whole list is going to be what it calls out to you. But I can tell you that I think this year, who knows what I know, though, because last year I chose simcha, joy. But maybe we did need it last year. I think we did. But wow. But this year I'm going with Emunah, faith, as something to hold our community as a whole. Emunah, faith. What I love about our tradition's approach to faith is that it holds both the right here, right now, and where we can head. Faith holds the moment we are in, as well as hope for the future. And it's our ability in Emunah to hold both that stillness right here, the breath and stillness right here, and the motion to go forward. That is this alive pull, an alive dynamic inside of Emunah, right here in this place, right here where I am. I can breathe as the ground is moving. I can cultivate trust and hope right here. Did all of you see the image of that gulch? That was our image for all of our high holidays. It's a tectonic shift that's happened and created this cavern with the water in the middle. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll realize that it's in everything we sent you about these high holidays. And I think on your name badges. Yeah, it's everywhere. This was an image that Sonia, Nefesh staff person, took in Calgary, Canada on the Metis and other First Nations land. It has this deep cavern in it. And to me, that sense of faith when the earth is moving is a surrender into the falling and to knowing that there is deep trust and hope right where we are, right here. Emunah is being with what is. Having trust and faith in the divine, in each other, in our values right where we are. And Emunah is fighting for what is possible. Being with what is and fixing, making, doing, creating what's possible. Both of those are Emunah. Right here, I am in this place. I'm surrounding myself with trust and hope, and then I am moving forward into the world to make it filled with the deepest values that meets the needs of all. How do I do that? Right here. How do I embody that? I was thinking about Emunah. Did anybody watch the Olympics and the Paralympics? What an incredible time to watch these embodied athletes holding so much. Anybody see the shot put? I mean, I know it's not always the most popular, but I really feel that the shot put embodies Emunah. So go with me for a second. In the beginning, right, there's this moment where they take, what is that called? The put? The shot? Which is it? I don't know. The big rock. It's also one of the ones that's like the most ancient of the Olympics things, seems to me. Throw a rock forward. But they sort of wind up, and often, I don't know if you've noticed, they close their eyes, and they wind up their bodies into this place of right here in this moment, I'm filled with the hope and the trust and the faith, and then and forward with faith into the future. Forward it will go. Forward is the work that we will do to make our world better. It's an act of faith. It's a loving act of faith. There is an incredible collection of essays by people on the front lines of climate change, activists on the front lines of climate change, and it's called It's Not Too Late. And the theme for all of these climate activists is hope and faith, and their desperate concern that people are beginning to say, oh, forget it, it's too late. There's nothing we can do. And their concern as the people doing the most work, and their strong desire is for everyone to not say it's too late and get apathetic. That for them, they know on the front lines that there are losses we cannot recover. That is true. It's not a denial of reality. And there is so much we can save and heal and fix and make better. Those who are most involved in helping the world to be better are filled with incredible faith. And it's part of how you get there. If you're wondering, Rabbi, how do I get more faith? Do something in honor of things getting better every day. Every day, every week. Making things better is part of what it is to live our faith. There was one shot putter who, a woman who did the shot put, who won the gold. I'm looking for her name right now and I can't find it in my notes. But one of the things that she did that was so moving is in her preparation, she, rather than going down, she went down after. She reached up. You can see this clip online. It's so beautiful. She reached up and she smiled, like big grin. Then she went down, grabbed the big rock, and just with such lightness and ease threw the crap out of that rock so far and won the gold medal. And there was this moment of watching her almost knowing, I am about to throw this so far. And this is so beautiful and amazing. Because sometimes a practice of Emunah is acting as if. So if you say to me, but I don't have faith, Rabbi Susan, have you not seen what's happening in the world? I do. I know very much about it. And what I want all of us to cultivate is the possibility, the imagination, the knowledge, the belief that yes, things can get better. This is an embodied faith, so much so that we will smile wide because we know the new world that is coming. We can hear her. We know it's coming. So a wide grin, turning, and then throw the crap out of that rock. So we're going to go now into these groups. And I want to share one last piece of Emunah to share with you, which you won't be surprised because this is Rabbi Susan's continuous teaching. There's a moment in Exodus where Moses needs to have his hands up, because when his hands up, he has some magical power to help the people in battle. And when his hands grow heavy, they don't do well. So first they take a stone to lift up Moses' hands, but that's not working. So then Aaron and Hur, one on each side, come and they hold up Moses' hands. And the word for this to help his hands remain steady is this Emunah. Steady, ongoing, continuous. We got you. Faith is shared together. So let's not only throw that rock really far, but let's hold each other's arms up as we do it, because we don't do any of this alone. Faith is shared. We help each other in the holding of our faith.